All right, hey, this is Dr. Maxwell from Radford University Department of Geospatial Science. Today I'm just going to show you a little bit of a tutorial here where we're going to run some network analysis, follow that up with some selections of addresses to better understand the distance that commuters drive to Radford University. We are going to limit this data set to up to 90 miles. We do have some people that are permit holders pretty far away. So let's start out here and do a service area analysis, and then we can use those service areas to then do some additional selections and origin destination cost matrices. So let's go up here to the analysis toolbar and go over to network analysis, open up a new service area. Once this launches, we're going to need to add an origin or a facility for this new service area analysis. And what we'll do is we'll zoom into Radford and we'll look at the 801 East Main Street address for Radford University, and we will run the analysis from there. That will require us to open up the editing toolbar here. So here's our service area analysis. We're going to need to change this facilities. Go up into the edit menu and then create. We need to create a point there. First I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom into Radford University. And East Main Street is approximately at this intersection of University Drive and East Main Street. That's where our main administration building is. So if we go to create, we have the facilities over here in the create features layer, and the highlighted box there is to create a point feature, and we will just drop that point feature in right here at the intersection. That will have a located point here based off of that symbol. We'll save that, save edits. We can clear our selection, and then we're finished editing, so we'll go back to our map and explore tool. So there we go, we've got our new facility in there, and now we can run service area analysis around that. Let's go ahead and save this project real quick before I run the analysis. So let me zoom out so we can see the service areas that are created for this analysis. To do this, up in Network Analyst, we now have our service area menu, and we wanted to be doing driving distance away from the facility, and that facility is Radford University. We'll set this up to be, we want to break up our 90-mile drive distance into 3 segments, so when we run the origin destination cost matrix, we have fewer than 1,000 addresses. And so to do that, we'll do something like 15, 45, and 90. See how that works? Hopefully that'll break it up enough. If not, you can always change those cutoffs. We just want to make sure that we have a selection of fewer than 1,000 addresses in each bin when we run our origin destination cost matrix. So let's go ahead and run that. We've got our settings away from facilities. Here we've got our standard precision. We can allow these to overlap, but we're only running for one facility, so that's not a problem. And then we do want rings generated instead of disks. Rings will allow us to just select things within that driving distance, that service area, rather than combining them with the disks. Let's go ahead and run it. Might take just a second here. And basically the output of this is going to be 3 polygons that are kind of rings that are not overlapping that will show those 15, 45, and 90-mile driving distances. And so here we go. We've got our new polygons, and we see those over here in the right side. And now we could follow up and do some selections based on that. To do this, what we will want to do is to create a selection of the points. And so we will need to go and get our select tool. We're going to select this initial driving distance, and then we will do a selection based off of that. So here we're going to select features from the permit addresses using the 15-minute drive time polygon. And so our input layer here is going to be the address points. We want to have these intersect the selecting feature, and that selecting feature will be the polygons. And since we do have the selection of the 15-minute drive time, we should be in good shape here. So let's see if this is going to work the way I think it is. There we go. So now we have the addresses selected from our parking permits. We can go into the attribute table and see this selection. And if we just move over here, we can see that we have 644 out of the 2021 addresses now selected. What you would want to do here is then go and export this data set of the selected features. And the reason why we want to do this is because then we can run this as a separate batch in the origin destination cost matrix. We'll have our output feature class here. We'll just call this, we'll let it save in our default geodatabase here. And we'll call this permits 15 for the 15-mile driving distance. So go ahead and save that. We can run it. Now we'll just have a new output feature class saved in our default geodatabase. So there we go. We've got our new data set applied. I'll redraw it here. I'm going to go up here and clear selection. And I'm also going to turn off the permits here. So those are just the permit addresses within a 15-minute drive time. So from here, you could go through and create selections using the 45-minute, not drive time, driving distance, 45-mile driving distance, and the 90-mile driving distance. Doing those selections, following that up with an export of that to create its own feature class of those addresses within each ring. And then now you can do the origin destination cost matrix. And so let me go back up to analysis and create a new network analysis using the origin destination cost matrix. This will give us the exact driving distances and driving times to each of the permit addresses. And of course you need the distances to each address so we can look at the carbon footprint of our commuters. So let's get this analysis layer built. And again, we will need to identify the location of Radford University for this. I'm going to turn off my service area analysis right now so it's not cluttering the screen. And we will zoom in here again into Radford University. To do this, you need to have an origin and you need to have destinations. And so the origin here will need to be edited. This will be Radford University. We're going to edit, create. And for our origins, we'll go in and again just select that point. Go ahead and save that. And now we have one origin set. And now we need to add the locations for the destination so we can calculate to each individual address. And so I'll just zoom out here so we can see all of them. To do this, we will need to go into our analysis and search for the Add Locations tool. The Add Locations tool is used in network analysis, so you don't have to go in and edit each individual location. You can add them as a batch. So our input network analysis layer that we want to be working with here will be the OD cost matrix. We want to set this for the destinations. And our input locations will be our permits within the 15 miles. And from here, you don't really need to set up anything else except for you should hit snap to network If there is an address that is off the main road, you might want that. You can set this to 5 meters. It should locate them all, but I guess just 10 meters maybe if it's a little bit farther off the road, long driveway or something like that. So we'll go ahead and run this and add those locations to the destinations feature class. Boom, it did it. We can see our squares. Looks like we've had them all added, and we can look to see here. It looks like all of the features were added and we didn't have any missed, so that's great. So now that we have that, we can actually run the origin destination cost matrix. And for here, we are interested in driving distance to each of these individual addresses. We're not going to set any cutoff. We've already imported everything. And this should run correctly with just the defaults with driving distance. Let's see if it blows up on us. Go ahead and run that. Now, you'll need to repeat this analysis for the 45-mile ring and the 90-mile ring, where you will export each of those as their own feature classes. Then you'll bring them in. You'll have to add locations to your OD cost matrix analysis and then run that analysis for that specific set of data. The reason why we're doing it in these 3 batches is to keep the number of addresses below 1,000 so the OD cost matrix doesn't blow up on us. And so here we go. We've got an output. It does kind of a near analysis look to it, but when you look at the actual data set, then you do have a new set of driving distances that are specific to the individual locations that do fall along the network. And so, so that's essentially it. That's the key thing that we want to be assessing here is the individual drive times. And so let's see here, the attribute table for the destinations. Okay, those are the destinations. Sorry, I need to get the actual output cost matrix. Oh, here, it's on the lines, sorry. And so here, if we look at the attribute table, we can see each location. We can see the total travel time. We've got it here in terms of kilometers. I'm not sure what you will subsequently be doing with this, but you may consider transforming it to miles if needed. You also have the travel time in terms of minutes. And so that's what you need to then do your follow-up analysis with those carbon calculators. So just a reminder, you need to set up a surface area analysis. You need to set your location through the editing tool for your facility. You need to run that for 15, 45, and 90-mile distances, really just to break up the number of addresses into bins of less than 1,000. You're going to add those destinations to a new OD cost matrix. You're going to set your new origin in the OD cost matrix analysis, just like we did in the editing tool for the service area. And then you are going to run those to get your output, which is the attribute table essentially for that lines feature class. With that, now you'll have the data to complete your projects and then move on through the carbon calculators. If you have any questions, email me at rmaxwell2@radford.edu and I'll help you out. All right, take care and good luck.